sitting on the back deck of the Gold Rush Treehouse here this morning, and we just got done spending a weekend or a few days with some cousins that are actually looking at doing an adventure project themselves up where they live, and we're excited for them. We kind of hope that they take the plunge and do this. I don't know, they sound like they're probably going to, but anyway, so when we left off the last video, I know that we were talking about we had just purchased this place where the tree houses are, and all of the process that went through that. And it was a long process. It was about a 9-month process, and we got on property. If you watched the last video, we got on the property and realized the very first day we were in the middle of summer in the busy season, and we had no idea how to run an RV park. That was our big shock. It was like, oh my gosh, we need to learn how to run an RV park. So we did, and we kind of got through that. But the more important thing is that we started the very day, or the next day after we closed on the property here, we had equipment down here and materials to start actually constructing treehouse cabins. I think John brought in an excavator and a skid loader and
skid steer.
The truck with a flatbed load of steel on it that we were using for some of the framework and structure.
And whatever he used to weld with.
Yeah, and all of his welding equipment. But about 3 days after we closed on the property, we were down clearing brush where the first treehouse cabin was going to be constructed. It was called Misty View. And
why did it get Misty View name?
Well, yeah, every morning when we went down to work on it, we would go down we would let everybody sleep because there was RVers and campers all over the place, so we wouldn't get down there and start working until about 9 o'clock when everybody was kind of up and going. And but every morning when we went down there was like this misty, it was kind of the early part of the summer. There was sort of a misty haze out into the trees, and made a really cool working environment. And so John, our partner, he said, we ought to name this cabin Misty View, because every morning we were down there working in the mist and the haze. Hear that?
We can hear the train whistle. I hope you can hear it too.
Yeah,
Silver Dollar City.
Silver Dollar City whistle down there. I tell people we pay them extra to blow the whistle so we can hear it over here. So anyway, we started building treehouse cabins. John was our partner. This was a big enough project that we didn't see a way that we could get it done all by ourselves. So we had, and I told the story about how we had put out a little thing on Facebook saying who'd be interested in a resort expansion project, and John popped right up and said, yeah, let's see what you got going. And literally within 5 minutes or 15 minutes of explaining the idea to them, they were on board and ready to start that day.
Great partners.
They were great partners, and continue this day to be great partners.
Yes, very
much.
But
so John and I started working on the construction down there. Occasionally his son would come in and help us. When we got to the kind of the interior finishes and all of that, and the exterior finishes and some of the other odds and ends stuff, Shelley would be down there working with us. And then Shannon came down when we were doing, don't you love that whistle, that train whistle? Yeah. But they would be down there, and we all had other businesses that we took care of, so we weren't able to be there every day. But we counted up the number of days that we were there. And from the day we first started clearing the brush till the day we opened the treehouse for business, we had actually 45 days worth of construction in there. So we moved along really, really fast with that.
And I was trying to help out. I would get so many boxes a day done from unpacking, and then I would come down and I would help stain and strip the bark off of the
that we did the power washing of the cedars to get the bark off of them. We used a lot of cedar on that one too. And from the day we actually had our first guest due to arrive on probably a Friday, I don't remember what it was, towards late September or mid-September. And basically from that day on, that tree house has been busy, and it's been a wonderful experience. After that, we went and built a little site that had 3 little treehouse cabins on it as a group, and then just continued to build. And this one here, I think, is number, what do we got here? 13. That one is 13, so 12. This cabin here was cabin number 11, or treehouse cabin number 11. And
that's 15.
And no, that's the site numbers.
Oh, okay.
The site number
The site
11 is
numbers.
actually that one over there.
You're talking about the order of what we
well,
built.
the number of them that we
yeah,
built.
Yeah.
And we've got this one, the Missouri Boat Ride was the one that we finished after this one, and then we're just now in the middle of constructing another one that we haven't named yet. It's got a Western thing to it, but the whole, as we kind of talk about the whole process of kind of the resort adventure like we've done, you know, at this point we still owned 2 of the little resorts over in Rockaway Beach, and they were still operational. We were still busy working them. We'd hired a manager to kind of watch over those over there, and we moved over here so that we could be a little bit more involved in the treehouse construction and management.
I remember I was still trying to clean them too. I was trying to clean.
Oh yeah, Shelley was involved a little bit in cleaning over there, housekeeping over there. So, and it's about 20 miles from here, so it was a lot of.
I finally said I can't do it all.
Running back and forth, and we got some housekeepers hired over there finally to take care of that.
It was just too much.
But you know, I think the most important takeaway that we would have from that is when. As we started doing that, you don't start out with a big project and a big property right from the very get-go. And I know a lot of people that have commented and have talked with us personally, you know, they have struggled a little bit with how do you do something of that magnitude. It's like, well, you don't do something at that magnitude. You find something small that you can handle and you can get your teeth into and starting with, and you got to remember, we started our first little cabin. Our first little project was 4 tiny little cabins, and we learned how to do it on a small scale before we moved to a bigger scale.
And I think that helped the bank be on board with us because we had little experience. So, you know, if you can't seem to get it started by a bigger project, start smaller because it will give you that experience. And once you have that experience under your belt, the banks are more apt to come on board with you.
And another thing is, you may get into it and decide you don't like it at all. And if that's the case, you want to do that with 1 or 2 cabins rather than, you know, a whole big 50 acres worth of RV park and tree houses and all that kind of stuff. You really want to find out what your temperament is for it on a smaller scale, because I mean, I can't imagine not liking what you're doing, but I can. There's probably people out there that would get into something like this and decide this isn't for them, and so it's much easier to make a change if you haven't invested such a huge amount into it that you really have no choice. So anyway, that's something to kind of be thinking about, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on the treehouse thing. I mean, it's a big part of what we do, but we were essentially here. We moved on site and lived in the apartment where the manager's apartment was here for the first year while we were building the first couple of tree houses. And after a year, we had kind of got settled into the operation of the RV park good enough, and knowing the staff here good enough and the routine here good enough that we felt comfortable hiring a full-time park manager or property manager here. And her and her husband was going to move on site here, and he was also an excellent craftsman, and he's been our treehouse builder ever since they moved here about a year and a half after, or a year or so.
We were starting, they were here when we were working on the Ben's Hideaway.
Yeah.
And
that was our second group of cabins.
They go, I want something to do, so they helped us with the little pavilion area.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, on that pavilion
they
area.
moved in here roughly a year after we bought the place, and they were going to move into the manager's apartment where we were.
So we had to figure out a different
all of a sudden we realized we were going to be homeless again. So Shelley said, what did you say?
I said, I don't know where we're going. Well, we own an RV park. Why don't we buy an RV and live in there until we figure it out?
So we did. And
we got a fifth wheel Bighorn.
We bought a fifth wheel camper and parked it at the site where the gristmill treehouse is right now, and lived there for the next 2 years.
That was fun.